Welcome back to the Crypto's Key conversation. In this one, I'm going to quickly cover some library versus SEC stuff. Quick little update from library. Quick, looking into the SEC versus Ripple stuff, ETHgate and Ethereum free pass. And we're going to start tailoring into kind of what the talk of the town's been with this Terra peg mechanism and doubt of UST crashes to 67 cents. So obviously Terra Luna's stablecoin going under $1 has been a major problem within the crypto space, especially with the market volatility we've been having as of late. Just yesterday being at 10 within the Bitcoin Fear and Greed Index. So we're going to cover kind of how they're transitioning this, in a sense, tragedy within our space and Terra, pretty much being attacked and their dollar being depegged. They're going to tie that into how now the U.S. Treasury reaffirms we need to have stablecoin regulation. So, and how it's kind of fit in the narrative. So, quickly jumping into CoinGecko, we're currently sitting at a $1.5 trillion market cap, currently up 3.2% for the day. So, obviously, we're having a little bit more green than we have like yesterday. There was a lot of market volatility yesterday. Obviously, we have Bitcoin sitting at 31,131, Ethereum 2,363, XRP sitting at 51 cents. So there's been a lot of market uncertainty, a lot of fear, a lot of people selling off based off of what happened. And what happened with Terra and Terra Luna and their UST stablecoin, it's all it did was contribute to the massive sell-off that we had in the space. Also with, the liquidations that we've been seeing, not just in Bitcoin, but in the crypto market in general. So if we look at just our 7-day, take a look at this. It's just straight down. There's been, I think it was like over 1 billion liquidated. There was massive longs liquidated in this short period. We're currently sitting at a 12, sitting in the extreme fear range still. We were just at 10 yesterday. So there's still a lot of market uncertainty. Who knows what's going to happen? Are we going to bounce from here? Are we going to go further down? Who knows? But jumping into the article, this is from Library. I just wanted to cover this. Library is one of the projects that's undergoing an SEC investigation. They're under a lawsuit from the SEC, just like Ripple is in the Ripple versus SEC case. So Library says it's hard to overstate how broad and devastating this claim from SEC is. If purchasing for usage is insufficient to make something not a security, then practically everything is a security. Not just every cryptocurrency, but Beanie Babies, baseball cards, houses, etc. He says, how is this not still true of Ethereum, even today? So they're pretty much talking about the verbiage that they utilize. And it's quite evident that when it comes to, the way they say things and the way they go about things, is literally everything they say has pretty much been contradicting themselves, and it goes against what actually security violations are, especially when you come to solid projects that didn't have an ICO, that isn't a security, especially today in the secondary markets, it's a security, but they're saying that it is. Johnny Deaton's covering where the big talk in our community is how Jason Foster and Empire Oversight has been, pushing that agenda in regards to the Freedom of Information Act stuff. And then I think it was Steven, a community member, had set out a FOIA request and ended up getting these emails released, but most of it was redacted. And Johnny Deaton here is saying, notice any significant missing in the email chain. So he goes, why wasn't a Crypto Mom or Hester Pierce sent a copy of the draft? Why wasn't Elad Roisman, who met with Brad Garlinghouse and Joel Katz 2 months after the speech, sent the draft? Why was Clayton the only commissioner sent a draft? Yeah, I wonder if we're ever going to get those answers to those questions. But it's like, okay, yeah, why? Why did you leave those people out of it? Because they wouldn't fall through this narrative and these backcourt, closed behind closed doors deals that they were trying to set up for this ETHgate or this Ethereum free pass stuff. Is that why they weren't sent it, or because they had reservations based on, the communication that's what were happening at the time? I'm curious to see if we're ever going to get the answers to that. But moving on here, this is Hester Pierce here, as they call her Crypto Mom, but she quotes here, says, it's important for people not to think about the government in parental terms, because when you do that, then you sort of think, oh, I can sit back and mom and dad are going to take care of me. And if something goes wrong, I'm going to go live I'm going to go live in their basement. So she continues down here, says, this country is about taking responsibility for your actions, making decisions for your own life. But the government is there to help you in the sense that we at the SEC help you get the information you need to make decisions. Exactly. We need the regulatory clarity we need. So these projects know how to operate, based on the law, based on, what's right. So they can give us the information that we need to make sound decisions, especially when it comes to our investment decisions. She continues, says, we're out there if there's a fraud. We can go after the fraud, but responsibility still lies on you, the decision maker. So I mean that's super important, and I think we all need to know that, especially investing in this new emerging technology in this space that's been super volatile, which has been very beneficial for a lot of us as well. But we definitely need to take ownership and realize that we need to take action in our own lives. And when it comes to standing up to the wrongdoings of the overpowering and over-regulating by enforcement SEC, we need to stand up just like the XRP and Ripple community are, just like the library community are, standing up for what's right and knowing that we're on the right side of law, we're on the right side of history, and we have to make sure we stand up for our investments and for our families and for our futures and for the future of the crypto space. It's not just about those particular projects, it's about the entire industry, because these cases, especially the Ripple versus SEC case, is truly going to set precedent going forward for this space. All right, so moving on from the Ripple versus SEC stuff, the library stuff, now we're going to start tailoring into kind of how everything was it seems like everything was kind of cohorted or placed in position to fit the grand scheme or the grand narrative of kind of setting these executive orders and setting these regulations in place for these stablecoins or whatnot. So we're going to talk about this Terra peg mechanism in doubt as UST crashes to 67 cents. Terra USD and its backing coin Luna have been in a veritable nosedive in price and market cap since major sell-offs began in the ecosystem. So obviously this is supposed to be stable. So I would say ranging from what, $1 to 99 or $1 to 99, but it dumped all the way down in the 60s. So there was a lot of stuff. It says, is there a problem with UST MCAP is larger than Luna market cap? So there was a lot of volatility that's been happening. So you have negative narratives, sell-offs, and then you have the UST crash, and then the community's been selling off, and you have massive liquidations. There was like compounding on compounding on compounding, a lot of negativity, which led to us literally free falling back down into this extreme fear range, and then the market's completely dumping down as well. So there's been a lot of fear, and it's all part of it seems like it's a cohorted effort to make it a part to fit this narrative, and we're going to further go into it. But I want to cover this 4484 thread here. It says, okay, here's how the Luna UST attack was coordinated. So I'm just going to say this. I don't know if this is 100% correct, but I thought this was quite interesting, so I wanted to cover it. It says, okay, here's how the Luna UST attack was coordinated and executed. Quoted from a friend. Attacker OTC accumulated 1 billion in UST, borrowed 3 billion in BTC, spread around some FUD about pegged and bank runs, dumped the F out of their 3 billion BTC on the market to trigger wider panic. 10 minutes after the Let's F and Go, wallet pulled some liquidity from Curve in preparation for pull the attackers pronounced. First cleared all liquidity from Curve, needed just 350 million UST to do that, then started dumping their UST on Binance, creating a small depeg. Terra market module configured for 150 million daily throughout the peg. Restoration would be enough if liquidity on Curve was intended, 4 billion instead of 350 million. People in small panic because BTC tanking and small UST depeg, so Let's F and Go started selling BTC to restore the peg. That's exactly what the attackers wanted because they've shorted BTC. Let's F and Go dumping BTC while attackers putting pressure on by dumping UST. The more BTC sold, the lower BTC tanked, increasing panic. The more UST sell, the pressure the attackers needed. Finally, people mass panicking and mass congestion hit the chain. Centralized exchanges suspended withdrawals and poop hit the fan. But bank runs on Anchor Let's F and Go. Likely realize what's happening somewhere in the middle of their BTC reserve bag. Stop dumping BTC to save the peg. Let it burn. Now peg is being restored naturally via the market module. Rumors about big deals made during the night. All of this would not be economically viable if the 4 pool was live, because clearing the 4 pool alone would require 3 billion instead of 350 million. The timing was not a coincidence. So I thought this was an interesting thread. Don't know personally how accurate it is, but I thought it was quite interesting, kind of food for thought, just to kind of see how things kind of seem like it is kind of fitting a coordinated attack or a coordinated narrative that's trying to be pushed here. So speaking of that, so Johnny Dean's responded to Dennis Porter here. Dennis Porter says, big breaking. Yellen tells senators that UST, quote, experienced a run and had decline in value during a Senate financing hearing. As I said, UST will be used as evidence to regulate. So Johnny Deaton says, I'm afraid Dennis is correct. Regulators of the legacy financial system are very happy today. So they're happy kind of what's been happening. So if we come over here, article from Cointelegraph says, U.S. Treasury U.S. Treasury Secretary reaffirms need for stablecoin regulation following UST crash. Janet Yellen said it would be, quote, highly appropriate to aim for a consistent federal framework on stablecoins by the end of 2022 in the U.S. given the growth of the market. So coming over here, we're going to take a listen in to hearing Janet Yellen talk and kind of see how, like, I don't know. I'm not saying, they were a part of this, attack, or if it just happened to just be a coincidence that the attack happened, so they have, more leverage and more of a reason to push this agenda and push this narrative and trying to get these regulations rolled out on stablecoins. I don't know. But let's take a listen in and you kind of, make your own decision.
With respect to digital assets, new products and technology may present opportunities to promote innovation and increase efficiencies. However, digital assets may pose risks to the financial system, and increased and coordinated regulatory attention is necessary. On March 9th, President Biden signed an executive order calling for a comprehensive approach to digital asset policy. The Council is drafting a report that will identify financial stability risks and regulatory gaps. I look forward to working with you on the issues and opportunities posed by digital assets. We're also
I'm grateful for your point. I hope you will agree to work with me and my colleagues who are interested in getting something done. Do you think we could shoot for a goal of getting legislation done this year?
I think it would be highly appropriate. The outstanding stock of stablecoins is growing at a very rapid rate, and we really need a consistent federal framework. I really look forward to working with you and members of Congress to devise legislation that would accomplish that.
So if we come over here and look at this Linda P. Jones tweet, I think it hits it on the head. It says, Yellen's proposed is to point out, quote, risks to the economy. So far, they are pushing the narrative around stablecoins, cyber attacks, lack of crypto legislation. Teed it up perfectly for crypto laws coming. So Jimmy knows best says, like I said yesterday, it was no accident that it was UST that lost peg. This stuff was planned. So people have been talking about that in the community. Like, was this a cohorted attack for a reason? Was it to fit their narrative? Whether it is or not, it's just kind of crazy how everything seems like it's kind of a coincidence. Everything's kind of fitting into this narrative. And, who knows, what legislation is going to come out? Who knows what regulations are going to be placed upon stablecoins and how it's going to affect the market? All we can do is wait and see, unless we have some ability to have some say-so. I'm not quite, sure of any, groups or, people that are kind of getting together to kind of get their voices heard outside of Ripple versus SC stuff, library stuff, just the XRP community stuff. But with that being said, though, it's like, man, what was it all part of their plan? Was, this attack on UST, the crash, and, now you have the major sell-off in the market, just the uncertainty, the volatility, they're using all that to fuel their case and to really push out their agenda. I don't know. Let me know what you think. It's crazy how everything's kind of seeming as if like they have control of kind of what happens and what goes on, especially because we're so early into this market. It's such in its infancy stage, 1.5 trillion. Who knows? Let me know what you think. With all that being said, stay strong out there. Be safe.